So we can do some updates and touch on really the one work item, which was trying to wrap up the work plan. Sure. I missed the latter part of the meeting last month, and Ashley gave me a quick heads up about some of the items that came up. But the agenda is pretty straightforward. And then just for the record, Caitlin Kelly, I think was the a citizen who was here a little earlier who's interested in trying to coordinate a shred event through her real estate company and host it at a town facility. And I let her know if there's an opportunity for the town to help coordinate something, that we'll do what we can, and we'll work on logistics maybe next month. She was unaware of the town's shred event and isn't on any of our e-blast lists and isn't familiar with some of the town's operations currently. So she'll take a chance to catch up a little bit, and then I'll follow up with her separately. No other public comments, and then some update items. So the newsletter items this month were predominantly the repeat items that we've talked about in the past. I didn't bring the newsletter up. Melissa Miller on our staff is great at assembling these newsletters, and she's helped me with a reminder of the half a dozen or so items that we'd like to rotate on a quarterly basis, like the paint program and noise and the household hazardous materials facility, so to have some more rotating occurrences of the articles in the newsletter is an item that Melissa's helped me with. We have a lot of our repeat items. There are specific to this month, there is the Christmas tree pickup. Here it is. So Boy Scout Troops 278 and 575 are going to host their annual fundraiser by picking up Christmas trees on January 6th. So if you haven't had a chance to click on that and have your Christmas tree picked up, definitely do so. And then also unique to this month was Skyride. So under the transportation updates, there is a reminder for those folks traveling for the holidays that the RTD Skyride is a great option. So some of our usual updates are included. I had document shred on here for some reason. I think it was just a holdover from last month. That was just me not thinking to take that off because it was an October event. The 2018 budget, just a note, at the second meeting in November, the town board approved the 2018 budget. And like we talked about over the last couple of months, through the budget review process and through the Finance Committee's review of the line items for the 2018 budget, there were no changes to the ACES-related items. And that's it for news and updates. I had...
Can I just add something? Mark?
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Jim Payne, Rock Creek HOA. About, I think it was it 2 weeks ago, we had that bad wind on Monday. And I got a lot of complaints, including from one of the trustees, about windblown trash again. So we are going to be pumping our reminder out, on what to do to ameliorate windblown trash and recycling. So we might want to do that together, or just make sure that the town, you might want to do it too, because this is that really rough period when we can get really high winds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they seem to always find Mondays.
Yeah, I know. It's incredible. It really is incredible. But we also, we can take some action too. I mean, if somebody is, this particular incident that was reported to me by one of the someone from the board were people that had just overstuffed their trash bins, and I don't know if there's any basis for code enforcement to do anything about that. Do you know?
To go around and
your
individually...
town's code enforcement, is there anything that if somebody's overstuffing a trash bin, is that something that town code enforcement has any interest in?
Well, if it was a chronic offender or somebody who did something that made sense, but if it's going around, then that would make sense. But if it's going around and measuring whether or not somebody's lid is above the lip of their cart, I'm not sure that's the best use to...
Right, so my question is, if somebody has a chronic problem, because can they report it to the town?
Or they could talk to their neighbor, but yeah, we'd be glad to know.
Right, well, we do that. We tell them to, what we suggest is that they, level one is we suggest that they take the flyer and distribute it among their neighbors and just say, hey, everyone on the street, let's try to do this.
Mhm.
And then level two is we can actually do things. We can send them letters, and we can, if it's creating a nuisance, we can, cite them for it under the covenants. But I was just wondering if the town has any
Well, if somebody's going
action.
to be, cause a nuisance, then obviously, yes. It would need to be on right of way. Somebody's got trash that's flying around. We'll do a
Right.
knock and talk for folks that do stuff like that.
Okay. I didn't want to send anybody to you if it's not.
Mhm. It wouldn't be
it's
the
a
first
waste of
time that
time.
somebody, reported a nuisance kind of condition on their
Right.
neighbor. We're
Okay.
easy to call.
Right. I mean, we try to take care of it, but if it's chronic, I
Mhm.
just wanted to know if it's something we can refer to you.
No, absolutely, yeah. If there's chronic offenders causing a nuisance, we'd be glad to knock and talk with them.
And they tend to be chronic. People who do
Yeah,
it.
the people who do it are the folks who are unconscious of it and repeatedly do it. And then Jim, you were nice enough to mention the outreach that we've done in the past. We've coordinated outreach. I can't remember if we've talked about this in the last year or so. But the HOAs and the town have coordinated our message on methods to help cope with windy trash days. And we try to get that message out. I think that's on our quarterly cycle. But sometimes on a Sunday or a Monday when we know that there's going to be excessive winds, Melissa on our staff, or I'll try and log in and send that e-blast just as a reminder. It's been great to have. It was one of the real positive items that came out of Jim working closely with this group a year or two ago, trying to coordinate our message and using the same information, the same web links, and the same images and language to help just get the message out, because there are some chronic offenders who are just thoughtlessly drag their trash out in whatever form it is and don't think about the consequences for their neighbors. So it's just a good reminder. Thanks for the reminder, Jim.
Right, and also, on that subject, if you are sending something out, the Christmas and New Year's are on a Monday, so we'll have 2 days, and we have been sending out notifications. The HOA has to HOA's member list notifications anytime there's a holiday or a Monday that's going to be pushed back a day. So if you're sending something out, I'm just reminding you that both those Mondays are going to be Tuesday collections.
And collections are all going to be Tuesday.
So what we'll do is we'll pair that notification, scheduling notification, with the reminder about the windblown trash.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Just write myself a note. Any other new business and updates?
Not for me.
Fourth item, I wrote discussion, but it's really just a recap. The recommendation for the committee changing its name from Recycling and Conservation Advisory Committee to Advisory Committee for Environmental Sustainability was unanimously approved by the town board on Monday, along with the revisions to the committee's duties and responsibilities section of the enabling resolution. Thanks to Essie and Mike, who are the two folks here for this meeting, they were able to be here Monday for the board meeting. Essie made a brief presentation, and Mike was here to provide support, so appreciate that. And that was done, just for the good of the group. So it's nice to have that, like you mentioned, a brand change, and then the broader scope, including some specific items in the group's duties and responsibilities that are beyond, sort of a little more just broad and more encompassing beyond waste stream and waste diversion. Anything else on that?
I do, but Jim can go for it. Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Well, my question is, two thoughts. First is, what is the timeline we should expect the information on the town website just to be updated to match?
As soon as I can get to it.
As soon as you can get to it,
Yeah.
okay.
Do you need any information from us in terms of updating content, or do you pretty much have it covered?
I'm just going to change the name. I tried to get to it today because I was
Okay.
looking at my ACES materials today, but yeah,
Mhm.
I'm sorry I didn't have a chance to do that.
No, that's fine.
That's fine. My other question is well, part of our rationale was broadening our scope and changing the focus to attract more people who might want to be on the committee. Is there an opportunity to promote this through either the town newsletter or some other thing? I recall on the town newsletter, there's frequently a section lower down that says, here are the vacancies on the different committees.
Yes, it's in there every month.
But perhaps since we have a specific announcement around our name or duties, there could be just a short thing, an additional call out in the newsletter to say this committee has changed its focus and it's looking for new members. Here's the link to read more. Throw out a nice picture of a couple, whatever, stock image of a couple Ace playing cards or something on there, and consistent with our new brand. Something like that. Is there an opportunity to get something additional into the newsletter?
Sure. Yeah, if somebody wants to put something together, that'd be great. I'd be glad to put it in January's newsletter.
Okay. Cool. If it's useful for me to just write 1 or 2 sentences and send it to you, I think it'll be pretty short. But
sure.
Yeah, I can
that'd be
also
great.
look at the Town Superior webpage too, because I suspect the description of the group should also be tweaked a bit, as well as the title. So
okay.
I'd be happy to do that.
Okay, so newsletter info from Mike, and then Ezzy, you'll take a minute and check out the website and see if there's beyond just the name, if there was something else that made sense to revise.
Yeah.
Sure, that'd be great.
Cool. Thanks.
So if I may just make an observation on that, I understand the advantage of the possibly wider appeal in recruiting members, but at the same time, the danger in broadening scope like that is you're getting less specific and more generalized in areas where you have less ability to impact, and we lose sight of the recycling. I mean, I not only do, my position, our position of the HOA is that there's the job to be done is educational, because there's still people who, you more than we who work with this, work with recycling and are thinking about it all the time, and are dedicated to it in different ways, may not realize or may lose sight of the fact to which a lot of people, it's just not top of mind, and they just don't even know what to put in which bin today. So education can still play a role. We provide in Rock Creek in the town plenty of capacity for people to easily recycle and separate trash and recycling. So the education is a big part of it. So I'm just putting out there one note of caution about losing focus on that, because that's a thing that is most directly impacts the town, and it's a thing that you can most directly impact as a committee and we as an HOA. And whereas a lot of the other stuff is a little bit more ephemeral, a little bit less direct, and maybe harder to impact. So I just hope the committee doesn't lose sight of the recycling.
Great.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Jim. Anything else from the well, the two of you were there, so if there's nobody else to really nobody else to fill in on this. But yeah, thanks for your work. It was funny. I was looking through the last couple of months of notes, and the group has been very diligently working on the name and the change and the revised duty. So I appreciate you taking the time to work on that.
Yeah, and thanks also for putting together all the documentation, especially while I've been out. So definitely super appreciated.
The other two items on the agenda, the work plan and then a discussion. The items that Leah Yancey was here last month to talk about were the two remaining agenda items for the group. So the Zero Waste Action Plan and the Green Business Recognition, and then the Energy Smart Program were the 3 programs that she talked about last month. I was here for the discussion on the Zero Waste Action Plan, and she and Kate Bailey from EcoCycle were here, and we invited feedback from the committee. And I volunteered to get any emails or any feedback from anybody, and then merge it all into either one email or one document and forward it. I haven't received anything from anybody, so I'll send out a reminder to the group with meeting notes that if they have some feedback on those, to send them. And then the green business recognition, I saw in Ashley's notes that she'd gone through the kind of what the program is and was interested in talking about maybe finding some folks on the committee who would be interested in serving as a champion and trying to get the time and energy together to run something like that, and left that open to the group. And then also on Energy Smart, so Energy Smart program updates she talked about. So I just wanted to mention those a little out of order, and see if there was something else that the two of you were interested in bringing up right now or wanted to have captured in the meeting notes, and then get to the work plan, so we can try and include any other changes that y'all are interested in.
I would definitely like to see if there's a way to do a business recognition from the town for businesses that go above and beyond in terms of energy efficiency or waste management or water conservation, and see if that's something we can kind of bring to the town board. It sounds like, at least when I've talked with the board in the past, it seems like they're kind of, don't really want to have a regulatory approach in terms of mandating efficiency or recycling or anything like that, but they would be open to having a voluntary recognition. And so I think that's seems like an obvious opportunity for us, and hopefully we can find a way to do that in a relatively low cost way. But I think it'd be great, especially with all the businesses going into the town center. So hopefully we can add that into maybe our work plan, I guess.
I think it's in
Just
there.
to discuss, okay. It's been a little since I've looked at it, so.
And specifically, and I don't remember if it made it into the meeting notes, she was looking for like a liaison. And then
Okay.
Leah would help facilitate it.
Okay.
And help develop the funding and figure out what it would need. Like, so she just needs a partner to work with.
Do you know what the time commitment would be for that? Or, okay. I'd be happy to volunteer in principle, but just want to make sure it's not going to be too onerous and
Right.
everything else, so.
She
No,
may-
we didn't really specify any kind of time commitment. But we have her email, so that's something, and I sent her email, is in the notes.
Okay.
So we all
Perfect.
have her email. You could touch base with her about a little more detail on what that would entail.
Sure.
Like I mentioned last month, Kim Owens, who was on this committee previously, had done a little bit of this the year before last, when the group was last, had this as a work plan item. And Kim had made some time to go out and I think meet with Heather from the chamber and with Leah and try to help coordinate a little bit more of a unified message and help get the word out and work with the PACE advisor.
Mhm.
And I think she went and visited some of the businesses in the marketplace. So I in terms of total time commitment, I'm going to guess maybe 10 or 15 hours.
Okay.
And Caitlin was interested as well.
Mm.
Okay.
So even
Cool. Be happy to talk with her and we can figure it out. So.
And I don't recall if we had any specific follow-up items related to Energy Smart do understanding what the program was and then wanting to educate residents about it more in the future. Do you recall if we had any other outstanding items around that?
You know, added to the work plan was maybe having an event, partnering with an event with Energy Smart. So that was
Okay.
something that was added to the work plan.
Okay.
So probably something to follow up. If you decide when and where you want to do it, and working with them on a topic. was
Oh,
probably
because
follow up.
we heard about the program in Lafayette, the solar education
Mhm.
event in Lafayette that was well attended.
Yeah.
And the opportunity was to do something similar with Energy Smart.
Right. And I remember you had talked about, you had done something with them before in the past, and it was really well received. With Energy Smart?
No, what I had said was that we were interested in doing more.
Okay.
And that you followed up, I Martin had sent me the way to
Your
get some
newsletter.
information about it, We hadn't done anything.
Well, that certainly I mean, that sounds like it's right up our alley of something we would be interested to consider next year, holding a special event, deciding what the right topic would be. And we have Promote Energy Smart program there in the work plan.
Should we maybe tweak that to, say, promote the Energy Starts program and look for opportunities to have a Holden event?
Yeah.
And I also talked about maybe the education opportunities that we could help promote the home energy assessments. You know, so adding that to
That'd be great.
newsletters and
Mhm.
so forth.
That'd be fantastic.
Would be another thing.
Sure.
So I'll type it in there. So were you thinking we just look for opportunity to coordinate an event?
Yeah, I think that'd be fine for now.
Just put that in. Or how would I identify?
And Leah can participate in that as well, was willing to partner, because she works with Energy Smart on
Cool.
different issues, so.
And then Chris Hansen couldn't be here tonight, but he was interested in trying to find a way I think he sent us an email on this a couple months ago, as he focusing a little bit more on energy, or Energy Smart, or maybe finding some ways to focus on energy outreach and education for 2018. So it'll be good to have Chris's energy and advocacy on that for next year to try and help, maybe promote or find some energy behind that.
Mhm.
Good. I mean, I think there's a good opportunity, but we could have support and partnership from the county and potentially from Excel, since another one of our options is to consider their partners in an energy program.
Yeah.
So
that's actually-
both those both the county and Excel bring a lot of resources. And they bring
Mhm.
their own funding for incentives and things. So there could be great opportunities.
If I remember correctly, the Energy Smart program, you mentioned incentives, Mike, the other jurisdictions that had coordinated on specific events around Energy Smart help subsidize the energy audits, but.
It's, my understanding was that's optional because the county already subsidizes them to a certain level. It
Mm.
still costs
As does
$180 or something.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And the town would, as far as the county is concerned, the town could subsidize that further if we chose to and had resources. But even if we didn't do that, I
Mhm.
think they would support in terms of education and with the existing incentives they have.
Yeah, it's a great program. So any changes on that? I guess, so you talked about energy, you have the garden in a box we talked about in the past. We did the fall garden in a box, keep that in for next year. And then the Partners in Energy program, present a recommendation of the town board. So this would be an item for first quarter next year to look at figuring out what the program is and identifying whether or not to make a recommendation to the board to recommend being a part of it.
Mhm. Yes, that's one that I'd be interested to champion. And I know it's an application process. The community applies to Excel, and then Excel evaluates the application and selects or does not. And so it sounds like our order of work here would be to educate ourselves on the program, recommend to the board that we apply, and if they're willing, then we apply, and then we may or may not be selected.
Hmm.
It seems like the right path. It's Excel will generally partner with the community to do a couple of things. They'll kind of join meetings like this to help make a plan around energy conservation for the community and how to promote efficiency and things like that. They can provide us with data about how many people in the town are participating in which of Excel's programs and which ones they think might be good opportunities for our population. And then I think they would support with educational and promotional material I think they view it as an opportunity to get more people enrolled in some of their energy programs and efficiency programs by partnering with the community.
And in some cases, they also offer additional incentives to local communities. So I think they partnered with like Lafayette and Erie and a number of other regions nearby as well, but not with Superior yet. And they have offered as well to send someone in to come meet with our group and kind of provide an overview of the program and discuss how it might make sense for Superior, so we can educate ourselves that way with more specificity about how it might apply to our community before going to the board. So I think that'd be fantastic, and I'm totally in support of that.
Good, so a good first quarter item.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we're jumping around a little bit just because we had identified those two individual programs, but they're listed under first quarter. Do you want to, are there any other items that you guys had seen when you had a chance to look at the agenda in this attachment? If there was anything else that made sense to change, or do you want the keyboard and incorporate anything?
The only other thing I noticed is that the name at the top is the old name.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
That's going to happen a lot.
But otherwise, I feel comfortable with this. We went through it line by line last time, and I don't have other changes.
Yeah, I haven't noticed anything else.
So second quarter, as the first item, maybe a bigger task item for the group, was focused on PACE.
Mm-hmm.
And light bulb education was an item that came up a couple of years ago and has been good to rerun. If there's some new light bulb education information items that you guys are aware of, it might make sense to update. That'd be great.
Sure. Hey, Martin, do you know by any chance what the status of the town center is going to be next year in terms of when a lot of the developments and buildings are going up, or is it just going to be kind of a gradual process? I'm just wondering if maybe we should coordinate our promotion activity along with kind of what's going on in the town center, at least for PACE and some of the commercial focused.
Sure, if there was a
resources.
commercial application that is presented for next year, I'll bring it to the group, and that'd
Sure.
be a time to try and integrate something in with that, sure. You know, like we talked about in the past, when we were talking about the heightened level of building codes, and we talked about making sure that this group has a chance through the FTP review process, that development plan review process,
Mhm.
to make sure you have a chance to make comments or look for opportunities to incorporate programs. But right
Yeah,
now,
so-
there isn't any.
So I think that'll be great, and we've discussed that before. And I was mostly just wondering, like, for the buildings that are already, I know there's tons of new construction going in. So I was just thinking if those finish construction, then maybe there are opportunities for us to just go in and talk to them about PACE, or someone else from Boulder County could, and those types of things.
Sure.
So I don't know if there's any like hard and fast deadlines for when a bunch of buildings are going to be done, or if it's just kind of a gradual, like, buildings are just going to keep popping up in the town center. So maybe we can kind of figure out what the status or timeline is for construction to be finished.
Sure, yeah, I'll be glad to keep you in the loop.
Okay.
The development review process, like you can imagine, is long, and some people might call it arduous. But yeah, there won't be anything that sneaks up on us. It won't be.
Yeah. No, I'm not worried about that. Just want to make sure we're.
I just
and,
like the
for
term
new
having
development
buildings
review.
popping up. That just if it were that, if it only were that simple.
Well, for, yeah. No, I didn't mean to imply it was.
Yeah, I understand. But yeah, when opportunities do come up, yeah, I'll definitely bring development items that do come before the board or as part of the development review process, go to all the committees, and then
Okay.
we'll have a chance to make some notes then.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thanks.
The other change I see is that this past year's Arbor Day dates are listed there, and we should
Good point.
try to identify the 2018 dates if we're going to list them.
Maybe the household
Just-
hazardous waste as well, in all the events.
So the household hazardous waste event, that was the one item that I had on the updates items that I didn't include in the agenda. We were able to isolate a date with the folks over at Eldorado K8 to have it on April 14th.
Okay.
And then the Arbor Day event hasn't been isolated, or I haven't heard what it is.
Gotcha.
But
Okay.
when this goes to the board on the 8th,
They're usually the same.
they have been the last couple of years because that's just the way it worked out. But it wasn't necessarily intentional. But it's worked out well the last couple of years because last year was the opening of Wildflower Park, and it made
Mhm.
sense to have it on that weekend. And then the year before, for whatever reason, it needed to happen on the same date. You know, it's been good to have some energy for 2 events in 1 location rather than having 2 separate events. Hopefully not on the same day, but in different parts of town.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was a good catch, Mike. I'll check on that date before this gets finalized for the board's meeting materials.
Cool.
Right now, this is scheduled to go to the town board on January 8th, and I sent Ezzy a quick note earlier just to make sure that that date was going to work for your schedule.
Mhm.
There are going to be different committees. The town has about a half a dozen advisory committee groups, and each group is going to be expected to come up and make, talk a minute or 2 summarizing what their work plan items are, and then answering any questions. So we'll start that on January 8th, and maybe 1 or 2 on the 22nd of January, and then maybe 1 after that in the first meeting in February. So
Okay.
as he's got this penciled in on his calendar. I'm sorry for the aside. Were there any other items in the work plan for second quarter? I need to change this.
Yeah, so I don't have any other edits.
No. Or do I?
Oh, wow, somebody made 2019 for Sustainability Corner at Arbor Day. Wow. Forward-thinking group members. All right, well, I'll send this out again with the meeting notes, and if anybody has any changes that they'd like to incorporate, it'd be great to get an email from the group and the name
Cool.
changed.
Awesome.
So those are the items we had on the agenda, and then 1 ad for the date for April 14th for the Household Hazardous Waste event. And then the follow-up on the website and the newsletter article where the notes I had is action items for between now and next month. Anything else?
Not for me.
Nope.
Cool. Well, thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thanks guys for coming.